Okay, thank you. Right, good morning again. Have we any declarations of pecuniary interest? No? Apologies for absence? No?
Councillor Wood.
Okay, thank you. To confirm the minutes, the allotment committee held on the 12th of October, which have been received by full council as well. We agree they're proposed, yeah, seconded, okay. Good, thank you. Allotment officers update, please. Oh.
Update on the committee meeting held on the 12th of October last year regarding points raised by allotment tenants. A request was made by a tenant on the Madden Street allotment site for the issue of a notice board key. The tenant has now been allocated a key. A concern was raised by the Bury Road allotment site rep concerning the recently laid tarmac slope to the entrance. This has now been addressed. Creosote has been purchased for the treatment of the Icknield Way allotment site boundary fencing, and the treatment will be carried out when suitable weather conditions allow. Allotment tenants were notified of the intended site combination code changes, and the change took place on the 8th of January. Allotment crime. The local police were notified of a series of break-ins on the Mumford Road allotment site. A total of 37 plots were affected by damage to sheds, greenhouses and fences. There was also a series of break-ins over the festive break on the London Road allotment site. This resulted in the clubhouse and 3 sheds of individual tenants being broken into. This has been reported to the police and a crime reference number has been obtained. The police beat manager has been updated with all the recent changes to the allotment site combination codes. At this stage, I'd like to thank John, the rep of Mumford Road allotment site, for stepping in for me to meet the police beat manager. So thank you for that. One of the major challenges is that the main gates of the London Road allotment site are often found to be left in open and the combination code exposed. Other sites are secured with the gates being closed, but occasionally found that the combination code has not been scrambled. This negates the impact of the town council changing combination codes on a regular basis. Although not a specific crime matter, but in helping aid further site security, a new mortise lock has been installed on the main entrance gate at Icknield Way, and keys have been distributed to the relevant tenants. These instances of crime have given rise to needs to review security at various allotment sites, and this will be addressed under item 574/23, where the input of the allotment holders will be obtained to see how we can improve security. Water supply. All water standpipes have now been turned off for the winter and needed repairs have been noted. Site tree inspections. A tree inspection was carried out during October last year to assess the physiological and structural conditions. The report has recommended that 12 trees require attention within the 6 to 12 month period and an estimated cost of $2,400. Pest control. There have been 2 recent reports of rat activity on the London Road allotment site, and they have been on both occasions controlled and monitored by the appointed pest control contractor. Plot inspections. In October last year, 7 notice to quit letters were issued. Another item is a cockerel that was found to be abandoned on a plot on Bury Road site has been rehomed by the Hen Rescue Welfare Trust. The key issues found during inspections have been individual tenants exceeding the permitted number of livestock, the oversizing of sheds, and broken glass.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't got to part B yet, but
yeah. Okay, can I just ask you a couple of questions? You said you've sent the numbers to the police, you've sent them to fire as well? With the new code numbers, have they gone off to the fire? They've gone off to fire people too? Not yet, no, they've got to go to all the emergency services, yeah.
Yeah, as long as the ambulance as well.
Yeah, the ambulance, and definitely. And you say you've got a new lock on the Icknield Way?
yes.
If we want to do inspection, how are we going to get in? I haven't got a key.
Well, when I informed you of the change of codes, I did mention that if you require a key,
You can have
to
it.
sign one out at the office.
Simon at the so I can't keep it at home, so I have to come to the office.
Well,
and
you
then-
can sign for it.
Declan, just sign for it and keep it.
Okay,
We know.
and would the same apply to the other members too?
Yeah, just sign one out.
He knows where you live. Okay, thanks for that. Yep, right, comment from me now, something that's come up. One of the unintended consequences of our rule change is that we effectively ban the use of raised beds for those with mobility challenges. Could I ask the committee if we indicate now if it would support an amendment to the rules when they amended later in the year to bring in soil for raised beds?
Yes. Depends. Depends on what soil they're bringing in, doesn't it?
I mean, the major issue I can see, the person concerned just wants to use compost, which is not bringing in soil anyway, but as an unintended backside, we can't give her permission at the minute, can we? Until she's not used soil at all.
Difficult.
I think we've got one raised with really raised beds on Munford Road. I believe he used the soil from within
That would be the traditional method.
the plots that I'm aware of. I'm not aware of him bringing any, because of his health. I wouldn't have thought he'd been able to bring any in any case, but.
It's gone.
Yeah, I mean, the lady suffers from back trouble, so it's going to be raised at quite a height. I think as long as whatever's brought on is meets British standards, it's been screened for any sort of unwanted seed, germination of unwanted weed. I think that's probably okay. But would the tenant be required to reverse all the things they do if they vacated?
Well, yes. It's the answer, isn't it?
Yeah, that's-
The other question I would have is how are you going to police what she brings in? Because presumably it's going to be a large quantity of soil, isn't it?
The only way you could do that is by getting a certificate from whoever sells it to her, that it's decent stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd also question how she's going to get it if she's got a bad day.
I think her husband is going to help. And this compost he's using from the garden centre. So let's throw that to the floor then. What do we think? I mean, I'm all in favour for making our allotments accessible for everyone as we can.
So
And possibly when we did amend the rules back in the day, we didn't possibly, these things crop up, don't they, from time to time, further thing. Would you be prepared to support us in going forward until we can review the rule changes?
I agree. I agree it should be allotments for all. But I think we should maintain the general principle and maybe make a one-off for this particular one on the proviso that she removes it as when she vacates it, which is going to be the real issue.
Is that acceptable under procedure? Yeah, that's your proposal, that's Mr. Hunt.
Can I propose that?
Yeah, you can, yeah. So do you want to say what you said?
Yeah, that's fine. We've got
Okay.
to record it. That's
And
fine.
we have a seconder?
I'm not overly happy about the the one exception. You know, as a general principle, and I agree with you, Chair, the allotment should be accessible to all. You know, if I wanted to go and have a raised bed there because I had a medical condition, I should be allowed to have one. And as long as I only bought stuff in that was compliant, you know, you've got to put certain rules on it. You can't just bring anything in. That should be acceptable. So if Terry's happy with that, with what he's saying,
I'm happy to amend my proposal so as in how can we say in?
subject to approval of the.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
What's your job, Carl? Well, it's subject to your approval.
General dog code.
As a general principle, absolutely, there's some details to be worked out, but this isn't as if, you know, there's loads and loads of these applications. It'll be few and far between, and we should be able to accommodate that.
I'd agree. So to take this to the vote then, or just resolve it? We just resolve it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Part two.
Could I just, sorry, just on the,
Sorry.
the break-ins, because obviously I was, you know, really disappointed to see just the sheer number of break-ins there's been, and And when Chris told me that there's not really been that much stolen, it's just mindless damage, practically. That's the real frustration. It's all frustrating. That's particularly frustrating. I've got a meeting with the inspector of Thetford Police about something else soon. And I just wondered, Carl, how you thought the police had been dealing with this. I'm pleased you said they came out. But is there any more the police could be doing to, deal with some of these issues?
But John will probably answer you then.
Yeah, right, so it all initially happened when I was on holiday, so when I come back from holiday, walk straight,
Yeah, nice tan, John.
yeah, walk straight into it. Basically, from what we can gather, there was absolutely nothing stolen whatsoever. It was just sheer vandalism.
Yeah.
And some of the vandalism was quite bad. Some of the front sheds were completely ripped off. I mean, the sheds might not have been in the best conditions, but that was just sheer vandalism. Even like a brand new shed, the rear was pulled out. You think well, the amount of noise they must have made for that. So when I went up there on the Saturday, the police were already there. They also had the forensic police officer up there as well, and they were going around various plots. The only issue mainly was there didn't seem to be any coordination between the amount of reports and the amount of reports that they had in front of them, because they all went on different crime numbers and they didn't seem to have coordinated that.
Right, okay.
So then Carl and I then walked around every single plot where he made a note, and hence where the number comes from. I thought it was nearer 40, but it's just a matter of a few numbers. And you then send that off to the police, and I then met the police as said, and we went round again. Unfortunately, some of the people up there did seem to be inclined to want to report it, or didn't quite understand what I was saying to them. Not their fault, it's just maybe my communication's not necessarily the best, but he did promise from that report that he was going to give the number to the other police officers, even the new number, and they would do more patrols up there. Now, I've not known whether one has actually taken place or not. I don't really know. He's even said about taking the dogs up there every so often. So whether that has actually happened or not, I don't know. I mean, Terry was there, and so was the chair was there as well at the time.
So when I meet with him, I can ask him how many patrols have taken place.
Yeah.
I think we're grateful at Berry Road that we're actually surrounded by houses. We've had minor vandalism on Berry Road, and the police have done certain checks. I was down there one evening, the boot of my car was open, and these two plainclothes officers called me to the gate and said, is that your car with the boot open? And I said, yes. I said, who are you? We're police officers. Can I see your warrant cards, please? They showed me them, and I let them in, and we were talking, and he said, there's a young man at the top end of the road, but on the Berry Road end, looking at your car. And somehow he got into the allotment. And I said to them, could you ask him how he got in, please? I was let in by another plot holder. There was no one else on the site. So he must have climbed over somehow. And then when they said, well, what are you doing here? He said, I'm looking for my budgerigar. It's escaped. So yes, they did tell him to assume the position, which he obviously knew. So he assumed the position, and they frisked him, and they took his name and address and sent him home with not a stick here, literally, but they told him not to come on private property. But yes, I have seen evidence of police, but not lately. Yeah. But I suppose allotment crime is the lowest on the list of things that they have to deal with. I know it's not the right situation, but.
Okay, Terry.
Yeah, police are supposed to police the community. This sort of thing has a real impact on individuals, and I think they should be taken very seriously. When I met John and Chris to speak with the What's he called himself?
Safer Neighbourhood Team.
Thank you. When I spoke with him, the first question I had to ask was because the newspaper reports that a man had been put in custody or been arrested. So I asked him what had happened about that. He didn't know. That feels very lax to me. I wasn't terribly pleased with that. If Terry, you can speak and if we can make a good case for a more vigilant police presence, I think that would be all to the good.
I would agree with that.
For everybody.
I would also, I have a couple of comments on this before you carry on, Terry. I mean, I want to congratulate Councillor Land and John there on what they did regarding this. The one downside that I found, the only way I found out that the Mumford Road allotments had been broken into was by social media. I'm not having a go at the officers as such, but I think it's something we must improve. I had no idea until I saw the post on social media that, you know,
Well, I on that day, when I went up there, I did actually ring Terry straight away and said, were you aware? And you weren't aware of it. I mean, it only happened over the last 2 days. I mean, they didn't get into the press until the next week.
No, this is true. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying that seemed to be coming down. I mean, it's great, and it was very helpful the fact yourself and Terry were there, so we could walk about with the police. The one on the London Road, I don't know how much we can say about that because the method was very similar.
In the end, it doesn't really matter.
No, you know, so, but as I say, allotment crime, Mr. PC Maguire, who's a Safer Neighbourhood Police and Team Leader, did tell us or promise us that he would increase patrols on the Mumford Road. He was given the code number so they could get in between the dogs going about. The forensics turned up on the London Road in the afternoon. Myself and Mr. Wells were there from about 9:30 to about 1. They hadn't come then, so I had to go. And then they turned up about 1:30, 2 o'clock. That was yet again mindless vandalism on the London Road. From what I can recall, the only thing that was taken was a small vice. And that's all I know regarding that. But I mean, security on the allotments is going to come up on one informal thing. Any more comments? Sorry, Todd.
Just one other comment on the security part. I did actually send an email through to the office to ask them to send an email out to all holders, you know, who'd paid their bills, to remind them all to scramble the locks. Now, the email came back to me as though, well, I've already sent the numbers out, but which didn't really answer the question. So I believe that everybody should be re-advised, and I'm not being disrespectful, but it may be in a few more languages as well, just to make sure they are fully aware.
We don't take any notice.
Well, I appreciate that, but at least they can't have the excuse of anything.
It's part of the rules. And I've spoken to some lot holders about certain things on rules. Oh, I didn't realise that was in there.
And
But they all sign up to say they've read them.
okay, then. Right. Move on now, Carl.
Yeah.
Me.
So, allocated and vacant plots. Since the last allotment committee meeting, 22 applicants have been contacted, and this has resulted in 13 applicants going forward with the offer. The allotment waiting list now stands at 41 applicants, and 5 of these applicants have specified a preference on a site that does not have any vacant plot. The number of vacant plots stands at 22 and are located at the following sites: Mumford Road 14, Ferry Road 6, London Road 1, Icknell Way 1. Some of these full plots have the potential to be turned into half plots. The allotment officer is liaising with the town team manager on how best to focus on the clearing of plots, either using the town works team or looking at contractors. Clearance tasks such as stump clearing, etc., can only be done externally. Uncultivated plots. The number of plots that are allocated but not cultivated and therefore given the perception of being vacant are as follows: Mumford Road 18 plots, Berry Road 7 plots, London Road, 5 plots. There are several reasons why these allotment plots are in an uncultivated state. The plot has only recently been allocated. The tenant is unwell or suffering a bereavement. The tenant is a fine weather gardener. Unexpected work and family commitments. The tenant has given up and has yet to inform the council. Uncultivated plot inspections will start at the beginning of April. They can start before then, but certainly not later than April. The committee is requested to discuss and note the report.
Thank you very much, Carl. Peter?
Would we know which plots are vacant?
I haven't got the details
No, but
in front of me.
is it,
We can send them to you.
thank you. Well, I only need them for Berry Road, obviously, but
Yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, if you could send a month of the other ones out as well, because I believe there are some, as you've said on here, some plots which some people are clearing them, but I don't think they've actually been given up yet.
Yeah.
Sorry?
So we've got 22 vacant plots at the moment. I can't see from the minutes how many we had at the time of the last meeting. It'd be quite useful to sort of track each time how many vacant plots there are. When are those 22 plots going to be occupied? What's the deadline? I don't want 40 odd people sat on a waiting list when we've got vacant plots. And I don't mind talking about it 3 meetings ago. I don't mind talking about it 2 meetings ago, but I'm not going to sit here forever talking about these plots. We need to be sorting them out. So what's the plan?
I think one of the issues that we have is that we're just running routinely and we're not looking at things strategically. So what we've done is we've had to do 2 things. One is free up Carl a little bit, which we have done. And the second thing is in the previous meeting, if you remember, we had coded them green and the red. The green ones, we will start tracking that as part of our kind of weekly meetings to see how that's going and see if we can churn that out. There is a difficulty in that in terms of organising to notify people on the waiting list, because someone might be on the waiting list and then decide, well, we no longer want an allotment.
Yeah.
We then move down because we start at the top and we've moved down. We then have to contact the second one, make arrangements. Sometimes it's the situation where they can't meet during the week because they actually have work commitments, so Carl will make arrangements to meet on the weekend.
Yeah.
But I think it's really just a matter of, we're not monitoring what you're asking for, and we need to just put that in place. And I think that really just sums it up, and we will put it in place.
Okay.
So at the next meeting, we will actually track what we've actually, where we were and where we are now.
Yeah. So when's the next sort of main issue of plots? Is it February normally when we do the inspections, we issue?
We start doing them in April because you still could have very bad weather up to February. So normally, if you haven't started preparing your plot by April, then you're not going to have it ready by summer. So that's really the rule that informal rule that we use.
Okay. So when's the next meeting of this committee?
In 11th or 12th of April.
Okay. So would you be happy with a target of 10 vacant plots by the next meeting?
Can I ask for a slight compromise? All the ones that are red,
Yep.
we'll take those out because, I mean.
I don't have a problem with the red ones. There's a
So
lot.
we'll take them. So the ones that we reported at the last meeting where we had green and amber, we will commit ourselves to having those plots cleared. And I mean, there might be 1 or 2. We've got 6 allotment holders that haven't paid for this last year. So we're just going through that process. They might come free and then we'll turn those over. But certainly the ones that we reported at the last meeting, if the green ones, we will commit to having none of them empty, and the amber ones, if we can get through 75% of that, we'll set that as our target.
Okay. I'm happy with that.
I mean, we got an informal meeting in February to agree it. We can sort of try and get some more info then.
Just for the record, my legs are now bruised because Carl is kicking me furiously under the table. But
I know there's a capacity issue, but also if the plots need external work done to them, even if we don't have the budget, you need to come into the committee to say, look, guys, we need a couple of extra grand or whatever to do the work. And I'd be happy with that. What I'm not happy with is a waiting list and plots sat there empty. It's embarrassing. The allotments are there to be used, not to sit empty.
Can I allowed to comment on this now?
Yeah, yeah.
I would agree with you entirely. I think one of the reasons why we've got behind with the allotment things is a decision made by council some time ago to take Carl onto a part-time role and give him pay parks, etc., which took that work off the allotments, which was wrong. We know that was wrong. It should not have happened really, but you know, it was just a question of capability. I mean, it's really frustrating when you walk around the allotments and you see empty ones and people are still waiting for them. But hopefully, if we can get Carl back on track with doing the allotment and stuff.
And
other
answer
people.
that, the time allocated is going to be taken up with admin. It's not with clearance work. So that's not going to solve that.
Yeah.
It's the volume of work. It's a question of man management. You need to put manpower on it.
Yeah.
In the way of our own workforce or with contractors. Contractors is going to cost you a hell of a lot of money. You could explore day rates with them, but it is a question to get these cleared. You're going to have to put manpower to it.
Okay, so you're saying that admin is one of the biggest blockages then?
Well, admin has come into, you know, affected my time a lot with letters and things like that, inspections.
We better not have a-
I think
No, you're right, go on.
I think one of the challenges we have, and we have identified that for this particular meeting, is that we need a little bit of better coordination between our general works team and Carl, and we've just got to deal with it. That's because he can't go out and do everything himself. You know, if there's a big plot clearing, there's certain things that Carl can do, but he does need the team, and we're just working as to how the best we can do that, because the works team also has very pressing priorities, and it's just about how do we manage that, and that's a management issue. You know, I'm sorry that I'm dumping it on this particular table. We've got to deal with it. We've got to make sure. So we are slowly putting in place the processes to actually do that, because we've just got to get better and smarter at what we do.
Okay, Peter,
You did have a part-time assistant at one time.
I did.
Unfortunately, he couldn't drive. He only could ride a bike. But what's happened to him?
He's moved up.
They're not replaced.
No, we haven't replaced.
Terry?
I'm a bit of a fan. We've got internal problems here, which and there seems to be a bit of an internal issue here. I think it's always good to look externally for answers. I wonder if it might be a good idea to start the process of liaising with other councils in terms of how they run their allotments, looking at best practice and seeing if we can apply it here. Certainly when I had an allotment at Bury, the allotment officer dealt entirely with paperwork. I don't know what their comparative sizes are in terms of volume, but the officer dealt, as I say, entirely with paperwork and was completely office-based, which bears out what Carl was saying. And in Bury, the town team did the manual work. In that light, I still wonder, and I think I might have commented on this before, I understand why allotments have to be cleared of debris before they can be relet. I don't understand why they have to be stripped and all the rest of it. Every allotment in Bury that was taken over by a new allotment holder, part of the thing was that the new allotment holder had to tidy it up in terms of grass and weeds and all the rest of it. That was part of the deal, and it was part of the whole thing that ensured that we got committed allotment holders. I don't know why we don't do that.
Perhaps we can look at it when we review the rules, yeah? Yeah, we'll be happy with that. Look at that when we review the rules.
And the first point about contacting best practice elsewhere.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, we'll do that.
Fantastic.
2 points. One, we appreciate as plot holders Carl trimming plots because it stops weeds from coming onto our plots and making us more work because, and we've got a problem. I'm only going on Bury Road. Somebody introduced a green manure on one of the plots, and now it's because of the weeds spreading in the wind. We've all got that problem.
Yeah.
The other thing is, when I worked in local government, and I don't know if it still works, but it's a suggestion I'm going to make. naughty boys, probation, people on probation, does that still work? Where they are given community work to do and under supervision, could they not be asked to come and help clear plots?
I've not seen that in years.
I haven't.
No, I mean, is it something worth looking into?
We could do that.
Because they are given community work to do. And I know when I worked for Cambridgeshire, they were given, the district council got them to clear certain sort of planted areas in parks and that sort of thing.
Okay, John?
One of the bits with that the person who was arrested on the Munford Road, that was one of my suggestions to the police. That's probably, if he is convicted, that's what he should be doing, is coming back onto the allotment and doing some work. Secondly, I've seen a lot of the work that Carl does on some of the plots, and some of the plots are in such a state that, you know, you couldn't just say to an allotment holder, new allotment holder, please take that on.
Well, so
It would have to be cleared up to a certain degree before anybody can even think about taking them on.
Well, it sounds to me like there needs to be great policing of the plots and people need to be thrown off earlier, frankly. I mean, it really does. And that,
And a higher deposit.
sorry?
And a higher deposit.
And that is the responsibility as much of the other allotment holders. You guys, you all know where the problem allotments are. We need to know more quickly so we don't have that situation. So we get rid of people before then.
Yeah, but that's not always a case of that. It's more of a case of they've, for whatever reason, they've given up their plot
Yeah,
and been unable to, because I know it might have been the person might have died or whatever. And there's still a lot of stuff on that plot and the family hasn't come around and cleared it.
I get that. I do understand that.
And so therefore, that's a big burden on Carl and whatever team he may or may not get up there to clear that before even worrying about putting the strimmer across it.
Yeah. So, go on.
2 points. There was a suggestion that as an association, Berry Road would take on the full autonomy of running our site. As something to do, the plot next to me, dear old Dave Kay's plot, plot 21, I personally cleared that. I put all the rubbish in separate piles, glass, plastic, metal, wood. It took me 4 days to do that, as well as doing my own plot. So I know what work this man has to do.
And this is why I'm saying he shouldn't be doing it.
Well,
Really. I think we need to be putting that elsewhere.
The problem was.
I'll leave now.
No, the problem, I'm trying to help you.
I know.
The problem was somebody then had to come round and clear all that mess up. Because as an association, we haven't got vehicles to do it.
No, okay. All right. So I'm going to ask a rather brutal question now. Carl, do you think you get enough support?
No, definitely not.
Well, that's great.
Figures show that, doesn't it?
Yeah, they do, yes. What would you like as us as a committee and to do to help you? Because we've been struggling with this ever since I became on here. We know there's not allotment staff. We know there's enough of this. It's not been put right, which is a failure on the committee overall since the last 9 years, 10 years now. But, so what do you want us to do?
A team effort. Like when you have time of year when you want to plant your pansies and things like that, you get about 2 or 3 people on that. But when it comes to like the volume of work to clear an allotment plot, you get 1 person. So you've got to sort of look at your man management.
I think in the end, it does have to fall on allotment holders. It really does.
Okay, well,
Allotment holders get a good deal of that.
what we'll do is we'll take this on. We'll take this further. We really need a written, or even something from you, which will tell us what you want the committee and the council to do to support you.
And this is why I think we ought to be looking externally.
you know, so,
Well, the main thing it's for future is to really revise these rules to limit the amount of stuff tenants are bringing up on allotments.
yes, I'd agree with that.
That's the key to it all.
Right, we can, so what we'll do, if it's all right with you, you can give us a quick précis at some time in the future, and then we have the informal meeting in, yes, sorry.
I think there's some similarities with the discussion at amenities on Tuesday night, particularly around the cemetery, because, you know, we are very behind on cemetery administration as well. You know, years behind updating some of the rules and procedures and all the rest of it. So I think there is an argument for some improved capacity around admin, looking at allotments, cemetery and some of our open spaces and that sort of thing. So I think it'd be quite useful, Carl, if you were to detail what sort of admin tasks you think would be needed, you know, which would help. Because I think we need to be looking as a council at some sort of amenities admin related role that incorporates allotments.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that, because I don't see why you should be doing admin.
We do a lot as a council, but for very few staff. You know, we don't have
Certainly
the size, the total number of allotments, the total, you know, capacity, cemetery, open spaces, all the stuff we do. There's not actually a lot of staff, and I think the council needs to be aware of them.
One more,
The argument is not the case of being given admin duties. The argument is that you can't do both. You can't, you know, you're running around in circles. You won't achieve anything.
right, Peter, one more.
Pick up one of your points about allotment holders. My first plot was 33A on Berry Road. When I left it and you saw it, it was spotless, wasn't it? There wasn't a weed on it. And there was and you took photographs of the minor bees, thinking that I might have a problem. When I left that was spotless. There was hardly a weed on it. By the time, and I don't think it was Carl's fault, by the time that was reallocated, it was full of weeds.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to,
You know, it's plot holders giving up plots. Yes, there are some people that can't do it because of illness, but there are some people that do leave them spotless. But by the time all the sites are visited and allocated, weeds grow quicker than anything else in a lot.
And again, I have to say, I'm sorry to say this. As soon as that situation develops, we need to hear from allotment holders themselves that it's developing so we can do something about it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise Carl is just searching sites all the time.
it's the job of the reps, isn't it, to tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was asked when Ros was here to do a report every month on plots that were not being looked at. And I had a mouthful from a certain plot holder on a Berry Road saying that I was grassing them up.
Okay,
Yeah, so, you know, so I haven't, so I haven't done it since.
okay, well, thank you very much, Carl.
Okay.
We're not saying we're totally behind you, but. Okay, moving on. The financial report for the 9 months ending the 31st of December 2023.
In terms of our income, we set quite an ambitious target in terms of our fees. We haven't increased our fees, but again, it's just how many, depends on how many plots. If we have a full plot, it's handed back, we split it into two. Thirdly, we get a little bit more money from that because of one plot is £59 and 2 plots are £36. So you end up with a little bit of revenue. So our revenue, most of our revenue has been billed. Most of it has been collected. We have got 6 allotment holders we haven't paid. So we're starting our credit control procedures against them. And that will be done in the next week. So from an income side, it's okay. Every time that an allotment holder leaves, we are quite thorough in terms of checking that the allotment is cleared. If it's not cleared, we forfeit the deposit. And if they haven't given us required notice because we've lost the income and the plots are set there, we also forfeit the deposit for that particular reason. So our deposit forfeiting is actually increasing. From an expenditure perspective, you know, historically this committee has spent way underspent. So we do have capacity to bring in external contractors if we need to. Our biggest costs is typically clearing asbestos when we do find it on a plot. If it's been buried on a plot, we're clearing a plot. it is exceptionally expensive to do that. You know, we've got 2 bills on our special clearing, and you can see that, you know, it doesn't look that great. It's £416, but that's just 2 small bags of asbestos that have actually been removed. So we do have capacity. The allotment committee has underspent significantly for about the last 3 years, certainly since I've been involved. And so using those resources to improve some of our allotment clearing, there is a capacity to do that.
Good stuff. Any questions? Comment?
Just one quick, you mentioned like the amount of money which is coming in with the new prices which were sent out for next year, because obviously we had to agree that, so it went out a year in advance. Didn't seem to be, is there concessions still in there for this? Because it didn't seem to always show up on all half plots and normal plots.
We did calculate the concession rate.
You do. And is there still going to be a reduction?
There will be a reduction.
If you pay early.
No, that we have, the committee decided
Fine, yeah, just wanted to
because of the difficulty, and most people pay by electronic transfer anyway. So it was to move people from a manual system to a, you know, to a bank transfer system.
Okay. Any more comments? No? Well, thank you very much for your hard work again, Bob. It seems we're underspent. We don't want to lose that. You've got to put that somewhere safe. Terry tells me we could move this money about budgets lose me. So okay then. 57223 allotment site representative report. We've had none.
Just one from they couldn't make it. It's from Eckwood Way, and what they've requested is that if a CCTV sign is put up, even though there is no CCTV cameras, it might act as a deterrent from a security perspective.
Well, that's sorry. Go on, you go.
When we did our walk around, I mentioned the fact about CC, although it was brought up within the conversations, and the police officer seemed to indicate that if you put one up without them being there, it's not legal. Though if you purchased one, say, like and you moved it round the site, which you could, you know, these animal ones, which are night ones. Wildlife ones, sorry, then you could legitimately put up a sign saying CCTV was. That was the indication I got from him. Now, what that stands in the law, I don't know.
So, long story short, I had a bit of an issue with someone dumping stuff at the front of the house. I put up CCTV, I put up a sign. Understanding is you can only put it up if there is actually CCTV. And if you put CCTV up, you have to notify anybody around that there is CCTV in terms of neighbours and so on. That could be an issue.
Yeah, because you could be intrusion into them.
Yeah,
there are cameras, I know, on the Icknield Way side.
yes, there are. And this is quite strange as well, because I did put a sign up saying CCTV in operation here. And that caused no end of aggro, and I got no end of grief, and I had to go around and take the signs down. So it's weird. Okay then. Nothing. All right, we move on to 57323, a review with the Ramsey Close feasibility study. Regarding that.
I think normally I'm quite embarrassed when I come to the allotment committee meetings because we haven't done very much, but on this particular issue, we actually can report that we've actually done something. So what the committee at the last meeting, when they approved to progress feasibility study in principle, they asked us to invite all the residents on Ramsey Close. We have. Carl had delivered each house there a letter. We've coordinated our responses to come through to our mail, that's Thetford Town Council email address. We had 2 responses. And they covered particular three areas. The one was the traffic and parking. Apparently, that's a significant challenge to the residents without any allotment sites. So they raised that. Most of them raised an issue of loss of amenity space for children and the fact that it's a wildlife area. And the third issue was the attraction of rodents. They thought because of the existing neighbouring restaurants, that would be, you know, having allotments and the allotment waste could accelerate that. Would you like me to stop there?
No, sorry, carry on.
So I think what our intention to do is we've had an internal discussion as to how we can address these particular issues. And so what we might do is just, we'll actually respond to the residents, because I don't want to just say, well, we've asked you for your comments, you've given us comments, we're going to ignore you. And we'll actually respond. And the way that we're going to respond is we're going to write into the allotment agreements around the parking. So we'll actually say that that's a condition. If allotment holders park on Ramsey Close, they will be in breach of the tenancy agreement and we will terminate it. And the second thing to address the rodent issue is that we've actually decided, we believe that we should ban livestock on that particular allotment. It's very close to housing, it's very close to the railway, and that would be one way of addressing the issue, because that's where we have our challenges. It's around livestock. In terms of the removal of the covenant, we have made contact with Breckland Council. They've come back and said that there's a whole process. There's 4 or 5 things that need to happen. The land has to be valued and all sorts of things. So they've given us quotes for that to happen. And I have signed off those quotes. So hopefully we'll hear back from them. I know that 2 of our councillors on this committee will be consulted as part of that particular process as the ward representatives for Ramsey Close. So that hopefully will happen quite quick. What we've done is we've gone out and we've got quotes to do the initial site clearing. They actually start tomorrow, is it?
It's done.
Is it done already? Oh, okay, there you are. You can see how to that I am. Quotes have been obtained and signed off, so that will actually happen, and then we're just going to kind of move systematically before we invest in things like car park surfacing. We have to get that covenant sorted out, and the water supply. So those 2 issues we will have to, I would suggest that we hold back until we get the covenant changed. And the next steps is just, if there's big costs that we have to have signed off, we will bring them back to the allotment committee. And I don't think that would cause a delay. I think the timing will actually suit us going forward.
Okay, thank you. Terry, did you want to?
No, it's good, thank you. The objections, the first one has already been addressed in terms of the parking. I think that's quite right. When I canvassed the Ramsey Close, it was very obvious that parking is an issue in that particular area. We have to insist that nobody parks on Ramsey Close. I don't think that's up for debate. So that's good. Rats, yes, it is near houses, and we would, having no livestock on there seems like a very reasonable response to that. We have rodent teams anyway, don't we, that we could use should it become a problem. Regarding wildlife, not sure the sort of wildlife they want. Rats are wildlife. I don't know. In terms of the amenity for children, not many children use it, and it's not a very safe area for children to use, being as close as it is to the railway line.
That's right. Which is the main reason why it's never turned into a play park.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it, Terry? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, that is right. Very supportive of the measures around car parking. I think that was an obvious concern. We knew that would come up. So pleased to see that suggestion. I think the bits about rodents are a bit misleading, because there could very well be rats there anyway.
Yeah.
Now, it's a derelict site. It's overgrown. So they could be there anyway. The fact is, it'll be much more well managed by the council moving forward, and issues dealt with. So from a resident's point of view, that's good news. On our little list here of the 4 bullet points, so the site clearance work has been done, and I'm just wondering about these other bits and pieces, the entrance gate and that sort of thing. I appreciate what you say about the covenant, Alan, but I don't see any pushback from Breckland objecting to the covenant. It's merely an administration process. They're not going to turn around and say no. So I'm just wondering if we can be getting on with some of these other bits as well. I don't want to wait for the covenant and then start this, because if we're not ready by the spring, we've lost a whole year of use. I'd much rather be as ready as we possibly can. So as soon as the legal bit is done, let's get it open, let's get it used. You're sensing my impatience today.
I am.
I want to get on with things. And we've got the money. There's no issue about the money. It's not even our money. It's money that was given to us to do this. So is there anything, car park surfacing, fine. That's, it's a big expense and it is specifically linked to this. But the water supply and the fencing, can we not get on with those sooner?
If the committee's minded to do that, I'm one of these people, I don't like black checks, so if the committee give us some guidance, we'll proceed along that route.
So, I'm very aware that there is a covenant and we need to be cognizant of that. What would the potential liability be if we broke that covenant and sort of went ahead anyway on the basis that we're going to get a covenant sorted?
Well,
That's a bit of an arch question.
if we had surfaced put a car park in, at least we could convert that to playground, because that's what the current covenant is.
Yes.
That would be a cost to us, but it's like the risk of, if I speed down the road, will I get a ticket?
Okay.
Maybe, maybe not. It's one of those things that you
I hope
just.
you don't speed down the road.
No, I don't.
I think the town council has got to be seen to be going with the law, not against it. So
No, that's a very fair.
No, it's, I mean, it's
you're a public,
As a-
you're a public, you're a public body, and therefore you have to be squeaky clean.
Great. It was an arch question.
Well, the next stage of action would be the water supply. That would need to go in before anything else is done. So we could do that.
Yeah.
The gates and the additional fencing, it needs renewing anyway.
Absolutely.
So we could go ahead with that.
Worst case scenario, if they turn down the covenant, then there are improvements to the site anyway.
Yeah,
You know.
okay, so we're all happy. We're going to press on.
Have we got any time scale on the covenant, Breckland and all this?
No, we certainly press that estates department between Nick and myself. I think we might actually be kind of banned, put into the junk folder, because we fire off a lot of emails to them.
The committee thanks you for your attention.
Yeah, just keep going, just avoid Breckland, it's all the better.
Your other hand.
Yeah, I think
Okay, it's, so we'll have more information in April.
Hopefully we'll have a lot more information.
Okay, so we'll,
just a quiet chat. I think that's a question without notice at forthcoming Brecklanders.
yeah, I would agree. That's not a problem. Okay, thank you very much. 57423, matters to discuss at an informal meeting with allotment holders. Before COVID came along, we used to have regular informal meetings with allotment holders and the allotment representatives, which is really great, because back in the day, we had a major communication issue between the plot holders and the council. We managed to build bridges, etc., etc. I want to bring those back into being. We'd have 2 or 3 a year in the Carnegie, where we can sit around the table and discuss things informally. And the two or three things at the minute I'd like to suggest that we discuss is the possible banning of bonfires on allotments and improving security, and then some other stuff that you have mentioned that we could bring up. And this meeting, I said it is suggested February the 9th in the Carnegie room. Yes, Terry.
I'm going to answer. My view on this, don't you? When I have an allotment in Bury, bonfires are banned, and quite right too. They're bad for the environment. They're bad for health. They do no good. And stuff should be composted. It's composted. There's no reason to have bonfires on it. Go on.
We can have your points at the informal meeting. Peter?
Oh, you can go first.
I think this will put an additional cost on the town council. Before you shout me down, how do you get rid of old sheds at the moment? You burn them.
Wow.
If he doesn't burn them, they've got to be collected.
I don't think we should be burning sheds.
No, okay, well, okay.
It's, all right, so you're going to have an extra
Yeah.
cost.
Okay.
There's stuff certainly that yes, composting is an answer, but there is some stuff that you just cannot compost.
And the stuff that we couldn't compost when I was at Berry was taken down and done.
That's for sure. Right,
And a lot of that was done by the allotment committee as well.
I mean, I think I'm coming in, I think this is why I want this to go to informal discussion with the allotment holders. So we can look at all sides instead of just, if we're happy with that, John.
Well, my point was, I haven't seen what work Carl does on the allotments and what stuff he has to get rid of. Yes, some of the stuff he takes away in the back of his small van, but a lot of the stuff has to be got rid of in other ways, one of which is
Okay.
a massive bonfire.
Is there not potential for skips?
But then you're going to open the gates up in as much that the skip has got to be taken off every day, because I can guarantee you
That'll get filled up.
that'll get filled up with other things which has got absolutely nothing to do with the allotments.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? I think so.
Paying the bill.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I mean,
So the question is this, how come they could do that and maintain it in Bury, but we can't here?
well, you've made the point is that some of the committee members are putting things in the back of their car and taking them up to dumps. Now, you're going to have some people on some of the outer plots who've got no transport whatsoever, and you're going to be putting the onus onto somebody else to pick up their rubbish, which when you get to the dump, you may, at this moment in time, because it's not been changed yet, which I'm led to believe it will be changed soon, they're going to be charged for it.
Yeah, that is one thing. I still can't understand why they could do it in Bury and we can't here.
Okay, something, as I said, we will, I mean, it's just this formal meeting. This meeting will be asked for your opinion on whether to discuss bonfires be let banned and secure allotments against crime and to anything else the allotment holders want to hold up. Yes, but
Can you add on to your list, your discussion from earlier about bees?
yeah, that's right, because, yeah. There you go.
I'd like to put on the agenda, the control of dogs.
Okay, we're still having trouble with the, okay, right, we'll do that.
I think the rules need to be changed, that dogs must be kept on a lead
Okay,
while on allotments and not allowed to run around.
I thought it was on the lead there. No, it's anyway, isn't
It is,
it? It is a rule anyway.
No, it says dogs must be kept under control.
okay.
Okay,
Because I'd looked at that.
okay,
I think they should be personally kept on a lead. I don't want them banned, but my allotment is fully fenced in, and I have found dog mess on my plots. How it got there, I don't know, and it wasn't cat, I can tell you. There are certain dogs that I have seen that are just running around on everybody's plot, causing problems.
okay. What we'll do, it's not, so we don't have a sort of formal agenda as such, and we just go along and,
Well, we'll just think
Yeah.
those points
Yeah.
are covered. in the-
yeah.
And sorry, going back to, it was mentioned at the last meeting about signs, official signs, about dog fouling and that sort of thing.
We're redoing all our signs at the moment, and our target is to have it all done by the end of January.
Okay.
So we're putting in emergency numbers, et cetera, and they're also
Yeah.
the allotment signs.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, but are we happy then to agree to proposal to discuss this at the informal meeting?
Yes.
Do we need a vote or is it just resolved? Okay. Thank you very much. 57523, feedback on programme and action plans. Anything mind blowing?
I think one of the challenges we had, and we identified that we had our last meeting in October, and in November, we were making very much progress. The one issue that we have to just take into account is that you can't hold an election in just as soon as you've issued your allotment renewal notes, because you don't know where people are coming or going. But one of the things that we've done is I've had a discussion internally is to say, how do we ensure that these projects, because the day-to-day stuff is happening exceptionally well. You know, if Carl goes and shows someone an allotment, those agreements are done within, you know, they could be within the same day. I mean, we get phone calls. Carl can show someone in the morning, the agreement is signed in the afternoon, all the payments have been made, etc. So I think the administration process behind allotments is happening exceptionally well. I don't think it's happened as well as it has. You know, if you look now compared to when I got involved in allotments, you know, a few years ago, I mean, the allotments would have grown weeds time we got around signing the tenant signed the agreement. So it's all paperless, it's all done electronic, all those processes working. Where we are lacking is that the projects that come out of this committee are not being implemented. And so I've had a discussion with our town team manager, I've had a discussion with Carl, we've moved Carl out of pay parks specifically, and he's now going to have a little bit of time to start pursuing some of these things, not necessarily doing it himself, but helping ensure that they get done, because that's really, we don't want to just come to a meeting and look at our action plan and say, oh, we haven't done anything since the last meeting, because that negates the whole purpose of having these meetings. So we haven't made very much progress. We've made progress on Ramsey Close because it's the only particular area. Before the next April meeting, a lot of these things we hope will be done, and we're going to put in place our management procedures and our management reporting to ensure that that takes place. So it is very embarrassing, like I said, to report, but it's just, we do have an administrative capacity challenge which we have to overcome.
I personally think, I've done the rest of the committee, but I don't hold you responsible for this with all that's gone on. I think you've done really well in the pressures you've been under for the last 6 months, not been good. And that's the praise you're going to get.
We're not looking for praise, we're looking for forgiveness.
So, it's a difficult time. We want to move stuff on. We all need to. There is a limited capacity. I think we have to be aware of that.
With the first one, the formalisation of roles and responsibilities of allotment holders. Going back before COVID and prior to your appointment, Ros started building a handbook with the responsibilities. So some of that work's already been done. I assume you've still got that.
We still have access to it.
Right. I mean, one of the things for since May is the fact that the council, Thetford Town Council as a whole, has really moved stuff forward quickly. We've done with lots of the committees, with good, great work, and the chairs have moved stuff forward. As an allotment committee, we've got to try and keep up with what the other, because we can't, we really have moved forward in a really fast manner in the last 9 months. It's been great. Praise to the chairs in other committees for getting stuff done. And that's a praise you're going to get as well.
Well, I'm very happy. Oh, yeah.
Is that all we need to do on that one?
New Year's.
Okay. Okay. The next one is the 576 health and safety matters. Been wandering around the allotments. I've noted a couple, but myself and Carl have got some stuff going on with that we will do. Anyone else got any queries? No? Good. Correspondence?
It's just the correspondence we received on Ramsey Close and the security issues on Mumford Road and London Road. So they did come through, they reported some of them, and they've been logged, and we've responded to them.
Okay.
And just to check, we will go back to the Ramsey Close residents that contacted us.
Very much so.
Yeah, definitely. That is ongoing. Right. Okay. Community engagement. Anything you want to tell the folks who come from this meeting? No. No. Okay. This is a good bit now then. 57923. To consider resolving that pursuant to the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, the press and public to be excluded for any remaining items of business on the grounds that publicity would be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business to be discussed. Are we happy to bring that in? Agreed. Okay. Thank you.